Welcome, everybody, to our official early review of the game that we've been waiting for 25 years in the making, according to Todd Howard.
Oh, geez, okay.
25 years in the making, Starfield.
Starfield!
We're here to talk about Starfield officially. Now, as you all know, this is a casual gaming podcast. So before you start saying, y'all only played 10 hours of this game, I don't care, because we played this casually. Well, we could, because we're casual gamers.
We're working
We don't
people.
have all the time in the day to play this game.
We got lives.
We can't put 180 hours in this thing, in that amount of time. We didn't get early access either, but we've been playing a lot of Starfield as much as we can.
Technically, we got early access. We paid for it.
That's true. We did get early access. The paid early access.
Yeah.
So we're all playing on Xbox. We're playing Starfield on Xbox Game Pass, and we did both buy the premium upgrade edition, which is like an extra like $32 or something like that.
Yes.
Which gave us 5 days early access. So over Labor Day weekend, we could play through the game in advance and get ready for it. So that was really cool. So right now, I am just shy of 13 hours in the game. Austin, where are you?
I'm probably around the same. I forgot to look last time I checked.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, it's anywhere from 10 to 13.
Yeah. So we're going to go all throughout this game, break it all down. This won't be our only video of this. We're going to do a more in-depth video of all the stuff we've experienced, stories we've encountered, and stuff later on. But this is going to be like high level. Is this a game you should be picking up right now and playing, or should you wait until they fix things and, make some modifications? So for those that don't know, though, this is a Bethesda game. This is their first new universe in 25 years. So that was the big thing around it, is that they haven't built a new universe since, they've been riding on the coattails of Elder Scrolls and Fallout for forever. And now this is a brand new universe, planning to be some kind of future, endeavor. And it's now owned by Microsoft, as we all know. So Microsoft owns it. And one of the biggest things that I know a lot of people were upset about with this is that if you have a PlayStation, you can't play this game because they made it exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem. So you can play this on Xbox, Series X, Series S, and PC only. So think of it like Zelda. You got to buy a Switch to play Zelda. Now you got to buy an Xbox or a PC. We recommend a PC to play this game. And the general idea is this is in the year 2330, humanity has ventured beyond our solar system, settling new planets and living as spacefaring people. You will join Constellation, the last group of space explorers seeking rare artifacts throughout the galaxy, and navigate the vast expanse of space in their most ambitious game ever, they being Bethesda Game Studios. And they describe this game as what they call NASA punk. So it's like kind of a cyberpunky-ish, not really cyberpunk, but like future, kind of edgy, but then at the same time very grounded in reality, very focused on like NASA themed kind of design. If you think like 1960s NASA, I feel like there's a lot of influences of that here. So that's the general setup of what Starfield is. So before I share my thoughts, Austin, you are a longtime Bethesda fan. You've played a shit ton of Skyrim.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. You probably put 3,000 hours in Skyrim.
It's quite a bit of hours. I think it's like in my top 5 most played on Steam, which doesn't count me playing it on Xbox or PlayStation, whichever I got. No, it was Xbox. And played a lot of Fallout 3, played a lot of Skyrim, started modding that once I realized I could mod and put a lot more hours into it then. And then I played a lot of Fallout and modded the crap out of that as well.
Played a lot of Fallout 76.
I played enough to we don't talk about that game.
Jokes.
We don't talk about that game. I've like really enjoyed those worlds and the way Bethesda has crafted the characters and factions and how everything ties in. And as you explore the world, you find out, you find new people, you find new items, you find new enemies, you find new loot. There's like, hidden places and interesting stories that you can come across. And that's always been like the Bethesda way in every game that I've played. And that's why I've enjoyed those games in the past so much. So here we are. Starfield.
So you've played 10 hours of Starfield. Has this captivated you the way that Fallout and Skyrim has?
Hard no, it does not. I mean, as a Bethesda game, I feel like visually it has come a long way. And I think it does play like a Bethesda game for the most part.
For good and bad.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
Yeah, for better or for worse. But I think it's in all the wrong reasons. Like, I feel like the way that this game is, this should have been in place of Fallout 76. This needed to come out when Fallout 76 did. I feel like the way that it's been developed and how it feels, and even some of the mechanics and styles of like it being a Bethesda game, I don't know if that's clear or makes sense. But like, the way they tell the stories, the cutscenes and stuff, like all that feels very Bethesda-y. But given that we're in 2023, it doesn't hold up. I mean, it kind of sucks that Baldur's Gate 3 came out because it really rose the bar. And when you compare those two, which I guess some could say, you really can't compare those two different games. I agree. But the way the story and functionality, gameplay, I like everything in that game just syncs together so well and makes you want to keep going and keep fighting and keep exploring. And I don't feel that in this game.
Yeah. I mean, I would actually even argue, I would almost disagree in that I do think you can compare these two games, although one's a shooter and one's like a top-down, like isometric, but like at their core, they are full-blown immersive, choice-driven RPGs, you know what I mean? And like you have, in both games, you have the min-maxing capabilities, you have the choice-driven narrative, you have like...
True.
All the, settings to like make your character who it is and stuff like that. Yeah. And like the thing Baldur's Gate did so well is making it feel like the character that you built is like uniquely yours. Like I can go from a barbarian to a warlock to a sorcerer, which are the three characters that I'm running right now, and have vastly different experiences based on the skills that I've upgraded. Yeah. It's like my sorcerer has high persuasion. She can talk her way out of anything. My barbarian is like, I'm just going to go in there and just freaking wreck people and destroy a lot of people.
Super stupid.
But my sorcerer is like super squishy. That was the first thing I noticed in this game that I was kind of disappointed about was I spent an hour making my character because I had a good time, like, fashioning all the facial stuff, figuring it out, trying to make my character look a little bit like me, but like a better version of myself. More slimmed down, working out a lot more, that kind of look,
Ideal Brett.
So I did all of that. I chose my background, which I spent a lot of time trying to figure out. So the biggest, like not the biggest, but one of the bigger negatives I have about this game is I think, and I think you're kind of different on this maybe, but I think the tutorial system in this game is like garbage. It's like real bad.
I agree.
Like how it trains. Like I wish, and even Baldur's Gate, honestly, when I started Baldur's Gate, I wish they gave me a better understanding, because like had I not come from a D&D background, I would have been lost with all the stuff that was in there.
Oh yeah.
And you don't really know like what's good and what's bad and like how to kind of figure play style until you get into it. And in this game, like I had no idea until I started the game that my background, basically all it did was just determine my first 3 skill points that I put in.
Yeah.
But what I also didn't like is that I thought the background and particularly the traits based off of those items that I was choosing, because like they have background, which is like, who were you before you started this game? So like I chose Space Scoundrel because I was like, cool, I can be kind of a Han Solo type, and like carry that through. Who did you pick?
I picked the medic.
You picked the medic. Okay.
Yeah. So let's see if it pops up here. It's probably gonna take a second, but yeah. Combat medic.
So it does tell you when you're picking at your background, like what your starting skills are. So it's like, okay, here's the 3 things you're going to start with, but you don't yet know unless you did a bunch of reading ahead of time what's even skills are in the game. Like I didn't realize that was the perk system until I actually got into the game.
Yeah.
But there's also this background of like who you are as a person that was interesting, because it's like they have a sculptor in here. I was like, you're an artist who like sculpted things.
It's all optional. So I was like, I don't have to pick anything.
Well, the background's not optional, but the traits are optional.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. The traits were optional, and each positive from the trait has a negative as well. So you have to like pick and choose like, oh, okay, do I want to have X and then have a minus to Y? And it's like, what has a better upside with having a downside? Right?
Yeah, and I didn't realize that they were optional, honestly, until after I mean, that's obviously right there in the menu, but I just didn't comprehend that. I was like, I'm going to get all 3 traits just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
So I went with like a Neon Street Rat, Extrovert, because like I liked the bit. I wanted to have a companion because that was one of my biggest negatives.
Why wouldn't you have a companion in this game?
Yeah, well, because that's one of my biggest negatives with Skyrim and Fallout was that you're by yourself almost all the time, roaming this massive world.
Right.
And I love the idea of this game having like somebody there to help me shoot things and like fight and like interact with, even if it was an AI. So I went with that route. I did the Neon Street Rat just because it kind of reminded me of a Street Kid and Cyberpunk. And then I went with the Raise and Lighten because it said you got like a chest that you could get at the Alliance place. I was just like, okay, that's cool. But all these choices that I made have had like virtually no impact in like my character's
no noticeable
dialogue
impact.
options.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah. Now, in Baldur's Gate, because it's like, oh well, I'm a rogue, or I'm a ranger, so I can have a ranger dialogue.
Yep.
And like people actually respond to that, and it's like, okay, cool.
Or I have high persuasion, so I can persuade somebody now.
Right.
And I have high persuasion in this, and I don't understand the persuasion system.
It is
It doesn't. They didn't like train me on that, so I had
didn't
to
even
look
know
it
there
up.
was until I started talking to someone. I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, it's really weird how the persuasion system works. Because basically, it's like you have your plus items on the left hand side, and at the bottom you have like these bars that indicate like how many points you need to get to successfully persuade the person. And then, so if you do +1, it's going to be an easier persuasion, but it gives you less numbers. And then there's +2 and +3. But the problem is Baldur's Gate shows you your dice roll, right? Of like how you did with that thing.
Right.
This doesn't tell you. It just says whether you're right or wrong.
Yeah.
So like, I don't have any context of like what is the benefit of me doing +3 versus +1? If it's like, is it a 50-50 chance with +3, or is it a 30% chance? Or like, what is the probability of what's happening here?
Right.
Like, how can I understand how the persuasion system operates in order to like be successful at persuasion?
Right.
So like most of the time I just go in there and do +1 because it's easiest, but you can't always do that because some of them require, like, if it's 3 dialogue choices, you need to do a +2 or a +3 at some point in order to get the points you need to persuade them.
Yeah.
But then it's just random chance at that point. But I wish it kind of explained what that was.
Yeah.
So
I think
go ahead.
There's a lot to be desired. And they just kind of, they thrust you into these things and these mechanics. And it's like, normally I like new mechanics come along. It's like, oh, cool. Like something else that's interesting. And I just haven't found that in this game. I just felt like it just lags. It lags. And going back to like the story part,
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's talk on the story for a little bit. How do you feel about the starting point?
Okay. So usually like main Bethesda storylines, the main storyline is like, it is good. It's interesting. There's cool things that happen, but it's not like, ooh, like this is the best thing ever. So side quests that really like have some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
That you want to go and explore. And I felt like they really hit hard on that. Like this story ain't mean nothing to nobody because you start as like this freaking miner and you touch the crazy artifact and then you wake up and that's in between that whole, you pass out, you choose your character and then you come out and some guy comes in. He's like, hey, you touched the thing. We need to. You're gonna go with the constellation and talk to somebody. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like it all happens really fast. There's not like much context. The guy who eventually lands from Constellation, like he has some dialogue stuff, so it kind of adds some background, but it's more of just like, let's just get you out of the starting zone and get you straight into the main story and get you to New Atlantis and let's get on with this Bethesda game, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, dude, there is no world building in this.
Yeah.
There was hardly the space pirates come down and you have to attack them. And I mean, it plays like a normal Bethesda game, but I'm like, man, this combat kind of sucks. Like, that's why I'm like, this game feels like it should have came out for 76. Like, I feel like the combat here should have more choices of like take cover. I don't know, like certain, like more dynamic combat than we're used to in a Bethesda game, especially since we're in space. Like, I just didn't feel like you just sit there and you go bang, bang, bang. Okay, I move behind a wall. All right, they're shooting at me. Okay, I come out again. I've loaded. Bah, bah, bah. And it's like this very, I don't know. it just seems like,
almost like
super dated.
It almost feels like, I mean, I actually like the combat portion of it. I don't think it's amazing or anything, but it feels like I'm playing at like Call of Duty missions, you know, where it's just like a bunch of things to shoot when you get in an area and just like go to town.
Yeah, you're right.
There's a few scripted moments that happen here and there, but it's really just like a big, huge like fun house to just go around and like shoot things and then and go from there. And I honestly am impressed, 'cause I feel like that's one of the things that Bethesda's always done a horrible job of is gunplay. And combat generally. I think combat in Skyrim wasn't bad, but like Fallout's combat was just shit. Like, I mean, they had the VAT system, which kind of helped it a little bit, but like it was a terribly designed system.
Well, it was always built around that. So
yeah,
if you didn't use it,
which it's like a crutch though, you know what I mean? That's what's
that's
silly about it. It's like you can't do.
I mean, it's better here. The combat is better, but I wanted more. Especially
I'm also
kind
of surprised we don't have a VAT system in this. Of like,
I know.
You know, it's like the technology is better in post-apocalyptic wastelands than it is in like 2330, you know, space. It's kind of odd. But I do like I think the gunplay has been good. I like that there's a pretty decent variety of like weapons throughout the game that you can get. I mean, you got pistols, you got shotgun, and there's also like a variety that's based off of where the guns come from. You know, like the type of people you're fighting against. Like I love when you go to the Freestar land, like you're basically kind of getting like Western guns. But it's also kind of pulls me out a little bit because I feel like we're in this futuristic space environment. And yes, it's like got the NASA punk vibe going on, but space feels old.
What do you mean?
Like it feels old. Like it feels like this is space if it was space as envisioned from like the 1950s or 60s. Like I said, it was like NASA, you know, but it's like, your guns don't feel like they're anything like, this doesn't feel like guns from 300 years in the future. The spacecraft is cool, but doesn't look or feel like it's spacecraft from 300 years in the future. The environments don't look like 300 years in the future. They look like what NASA would be doing now or 20 years ago or whatever, or 60 years ago. And then when you go to the Freestar land, it's like you got a bunch of shotguns and like revolvers and stuff that's like traditionally like Western. And it's we're in the future now. Like the Western idea of like the Wild West, I feel like wouldn't have made a comeback in 300 years in the future. Like it would be something different than traditional Western. So I don't know. I feel like there's just a weird, like everything feels old, but I don't mind it. Like I think there's definitely a style here that's really intriguing. It's just not what I expected.
I agree with that.
But back to the story. Like the story, I don't mind the story. I mean,
You got farther than I have.
Yeah.
Like I literally got the constellation and I was like, see y'all. I don't care about this thing at all. And I was like you touched the stone and like what's supposed to happen? Like there's been no setup for like, oh, we don't know what this means. Like this has never happened before. You need to go see a doctor or go see some specialist. No, it's just like, oh, cool. You're part of our club now. Let's go find more. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it definitely like kind of accelerates it to hyperspeed. Well, I mean, just the fact that like you walk out of the mine, you meet this guy named Barrett who's like, oh, you felt something magical too? That's cool. Here, take my ship. Have fun. You just got a free ship, you know?
I'll stay here and fight pirates the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because they're coming for us.
And it was a very fast, I feel like it could have been way better thought out in that aspect to just make it more epic. But Skyrim's beginning was cool with the whole dragon fight and everything like that. Like that was neat.
Very interesting.
I don't think Fallout was that great. I mean, it's just like you're in the vault and it was like, here's your training session, and then you like leave, and then it's like,
I thought it was cool because you got to, Fallout 3, there was like, I don't think there was like an intro of like prior to the war, but like in Fallout 4, you got to live very short moments.
Oh, yeah.
Very short moment outside before the bombs hit and create everything. Cool. So you get to like experience that, which was expanding on the story, expanding on the lore, and then you go into the shelter and then you come out and I thought that was
everything's
interesting.
different now.
Yeah, like that was interesting. Like you already knew where you were going.
Yeah.
But it was cool to actually experience it.
Yeah. The story, I mean, there are nuggets as I've been playing forward that I'm like, okay, this is kind of interesting. This, like, I just encountered, I'm not going to reveal a lot, but there's you start searching for a bunch of artifacts everywhere, and that's basically your mission. You just go to this place, find an artifact. You also go find people along the way too, as like your different missions. So you meet a lot of NPCs over the course of the first 4 or 5 missions. But one of them sent me to a temple, and there's some weird like magical stuff going on at these temples. Bless you.
Thank you.
That I think is added some more intrigue. That I'm like, okay, there's a whole mystery that I'm excited about. But my biggest fear is that the payoff at the end is going to be like really shitty. But I've heard from people that have completed the game and podcasts that it's like was satisfying. Like, so whatever happens, like, is not bad. But I'm just like, I'm so nervous about it because I'm just like, okay, there's not a lot here to go off of, but the mystery is alluring enough where I'm like, okay, I want to keep kind of going for this. But what I've been trying to do, because everything I've listened to and read so far is like, don't mainline this game because it's not going to be like a lot of people are talking about how do you play this game and enjoy it, because you can play the first 10 hours of this game and be bored. You know what I mean? Like it can be in points a very boring kind of drab looking game. But there's a lot of interesting, cool things in this world that is worth exploring. And again, like I never got into Elder Scrolls before. I played 8 hours of Elder Scrolls and fell off of it. I played 3 or 4 hours of Fallout 4, fell off of it. Played Fallout 76 with you guys, really don't like that.
Fell off of that.
Fell off of that. This is one that I'm like, I think I'm gonna beat this game. Like I really do feel like I'm gonna beat it. I'm enjoying enough of it throughout. There's issues for sure, but I do love, although it does feel old and stuff, I love looking at shit in this world. Like I think it's really fascinating.
And the worlds and the items are like on point.
Yeah. I could care less about all the freaking apples and shit that are lying all over the place.
Yeah.
But like just like walking your spaceship for the first time, it's like the level of attention to detail was like unreal. Like so many little detailed moments. And like you're going through caves and stuff like that, and there's all kinds of like cool shit to discover and find, and like nooks and crannies and whatnot. And the cities so far have been pretty interesting. I mean, I think there's what I've understood is there's 4 main cities. The New Atlantis is the first one you land on. There is Freestar Collective or whatever, or like the Wild West place.
Yeah.
There's Mars Underground. Have you been to Mars yet?
Yes,
Sidonia?
Yes, I was there.
So Sidonia is one, and then Neon. Have you been to Neon yet?
I have not been in Neon.
Okay, so I just got to Neon last night because I was like, I got to get to at least the final like big place.
I got you.
And it's cool. It basically feels like you're in Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, cool.
But not as many like levels,
right?
You know,
right.
like Cyberpunk is just like vertically impressive,
yeah.
You know, with everything they have in there. This one doesn't have as much of that, but it's got the same visual aesthetic and style to it, which is really nice. So I'm excited to explore more of that region because like I'm also the Neon Street rat kid or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I can like, you know, that's the first time I encounter like my character doing something, because when I was going to Neon, I was able to use Neon Street Kid responses to like help my conversation along, which is cool. So like there is that stuff in here. It's just few and far between.
Yeah, I just feel like this plays very much like Mass Effect, where it's like, hey, I'm on this planet. I want to go to that planet. Teleport. All right, here, I landed. All right, now I'm in the city. Now I'm going to walk around, do stuff. All right, I got to go somewhere else. All right, teleport. Because you can go to the missions and be like, hey, track or like set waypoint on the map, and then you could just fast travel, and everything is like fast travel. Like you could complete a mission on the planet and be like, oh, I'm going to fast travel to my ship by opening the maid, like, well, it's not like the Spider Sense thing or the Batman thing.
The scanner,
thank you. And then you can click, like, it shows you where your ship is on the screen, and then you just teleport to your ship on the planet, so you don't have to walk all the way back.
Oh, that's a map, actually. That's just the star map.
No, it's not star map. It's when you're on the planet and you complete a mission, you can open up the, like, scanner thing that helps you look for resources on the ground, and then it shows your ship icon, like, on the planet.
Yeah, I just go in the map.
And then you can just
teleport.
Oh, yeah, I see that too. Yeah, that was like one of the tutorials early on. So I was like, oh, cool. So I feel like the space, I will never go into space. I will never do dogfights unless they make me. Because, like, I'm just, like, I chose that I'd rather be on the ground anyway. So I'm not like, I mean, this isn't like No Man's Sky, which we all knew it wasn't going to be, but I kind of wish it was to some degree. Because, I mean, going in and out of planets, which I guess you can do, right? Which I haven't experienced, is fun and interesting, and it's cool to have that experience. And No Man's Sky, I think it got old after a while, but I mean, they had ways of getting around that to make it quick and painless. But here, I just want to do missions. Like, I'm just so used to Bethesda, and I like having this giant open world like in Fallout 4 and Skyrim. And it's like, there's so much to explore. It is contained, but there's a lot there. And here, it's like you have to go here, you have to go there. I know a lot of the planets are barren. Like, a lot of the main interesting stuff is in the cities where you get missions and stuff, and then they send you out. And so I don't know if that's going to get tedious over time, just being like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go to the big city. All right, is there missions here? Okay, what do I do out there? Like, I'm not going to just go and, like, get resources.
Yeah. It is definitely a very different approach than like past Bethesda games where like you can just like walk in one direction and just like run into a bunch of shit like on your way to like a destination.
Yeah.
And in here it's a lot of just like menu migration from point to point.
Yeah.
I think it was a good solution for them to do it that way versus like, as I think there was a lot of people that were expecting like a No Man's Sky style with like very good RPG mechanics.
Definitely.
And I think that was kind of a narrative that we all kind of gave ourselves this game was going to be that we shouldn't have given to the game. You know, it's like we all kind of expected just because it's like in space and there's 1,000 planets and
hey man,
we just assumed it was No Man's Sky.
25 years in the making.
More.
And then you got the Microsoft bucks.
So I think we just got too excited for that and expected too much out of it. But I honestly, looking back on it, thinking a lot on this, I much rather prefer this process than what No Man's Sky has.
I do too.
Yeah, because I love the idea of being able to take off in No Man's Sky, fly into the air, travel along the surface, whatever. But after a while, I'm like, I just want to get to where I want to be.
Yes.
And like, I want to get to the action and I want to do the thing. So the fact in here, and I also didn't realize that I thought you can only land on like points of interest on the map, but you can like click anywhere on the planet and land there. So I was like looking the other night. Yeah. Cause you know, like whenever you scan it, you can scan for resources and it shows you where all the resources are.
Yeah.
So I can just click at any point on the map and there's a land icon. As long as it's not water, you can just land there and you can just start walking. So like there is that exploration there, but like they give you a lot more control over cutting out the bullshit travel to do things. And it's like, I also like how like every mission I've done when I land at a point of interest, it's like part of a mission or whatever. There's within like 700 meters of me, like a bunch of other things that I can go do if I want to. So I'm kind of in an open world, like space, but like I'm not having to walk across the entire planet to find what I need. Like they've positioned the things close enough to me to where I can still wander, but not like wander. Like last night I went to a planet, it's like Tau Ceti or something like that. And it was just like a portion of a main mission. But when I got, actually, no, let me take that back. So I went to another mission where I went to go rescue a guy. I landed there and I rescued him. And all I had to do was like land, rescue him, the end. And then you could decide if you wanted him to join your crew or not. So I was like, yeah, you can join my crew, come on in. But then I looked at my scanner and I was like, okay, there's 3 other things around me. There's like this old abandoned mission over here or abandoned post. And there's something else over here. So I went to the abandoned post. I walked over there. There was a bunch of new enemies I've never encountered before called the Eclipse. And they're just like super armored, like space dudes. So I started finding all these guys, killed all of them, took all their loot. There's a lot of loot in this game. We'll get to the inventory here in a minute. But I took all their loot and then, got some cool shit out of it. It was like, okay, cool. And then I saw in the distance another base. I was like, oh, there's a ship over there. I'm going to walk over there and then see what's going on. So I walk over there and I see the ship and I see 2 guys over like on another like part of the outpost, just like hanging out. And then I saw their ship and I was like, huh, I'm going to go see if their ship's open. So I walk over their ship and it was open and I go inside and I steal it.
Oh man.
And I just flew off, no combat encounter, took off, got a brand new ship. It's like twice the size of the one you start with.
Dang.
For free.
Wow.
Free ship. Didn't have to fight anybody. It was awesome.
Would you go somewhere after that?
Yeah. I mean, that's my main ship now. So I'm just like flying out that ship. Yeah.
Wait, so you just like, did you go to a main city and land?
Yeah, after I stole the ship, yeah.
And they didn't do anything?
No, because it was, I was able to register it as like mine.
Oh, so like it was nobody's ship.
Yeah, I guess. It was just like nobody's
Wow.
ship. I mean, I
Like-
think it was their ship, but I think they were like pirates. I don't think it was actually. Landed at New Atlantis, and I went up to the guy and I registered it. Now it's in my arsenal of ships, and I can just like use that whenever. And it's like 3-story. It's way faster. It's got more armor. Not way faster, but it's just bigger. Has more space. And yeah, so I got a free ship. So that was really cool. That I was just able to just do that and just like, make my way around.
See, I wish you could like scan the planet and it's like, oh, here's like 15 or X amount of points of interest, and you have to like go explore that area. And then it's like, oh, there's an outpost here, or oh, there's like, a facility or like a mining tunnel, or so like the planet, like there's something to do on the planet. It's like, here's a city, and then here might be like one other point of interest.
I mean, you can do that, but
One
it's like
place
you
to
have
go
to
to.
land there first before you can do it. You can't just like scan from the sky.
I wish you could do
Like
that.
if you land, then it's so and like you find a point of interest, you land, but then once you land, you can pull up your scanner and just see like the 6 things around you. There's usually I've never had a time where I've landed and there's nothing around me. There's always something
gotcha.
there.
Gotcha.
But it does make you do a little bit of work to like.
Okay, I
get on
should
the
try
planet.
that. See if that helps
Yeah.
me like the game better.
But there are like, I mean, the things that I explore, like, I mean, it's kind of the same. You go to an abandoned mine or abandoned this or whatever, and there's like maybe some guys there to fight, and you pick up loot, and then you run off. I haven't found anything that's like too super like different per se, but it's cool. It's a nice break between questing.
I mean, that's what you do in all Bethesda games. Like, it's just like, here's a dungeon. Go kill everything in it and get some kind of cool loot thing. And then if we don't need it, you sell it, and then you can buy other things. And it's just like, okay. But I feel like now it's really boring. Like, that's boring.
Yeah.
Like, I had to do a mission to, so I joined the Vanguard, and they sent me on a mission. So I went to go talk to some people, and then I found out the facility's broken down. Or like everyone in the facility is dead besides this one soldier person. They're like, there's like an alien here.
Sounds like Dead Space.
Yeah, there's an alien here that you need to kill so we can get a sample and figure out what's going on. And shit, I forgot where I was going with that.
Great story.
I'll just tell you about the story. How about that?
Okay.
And then that was like an interesting mission.
Yeah.
Because it was me having to turn on all these generators in this facility while there was this alien that could kill me like 2 hits, presumably, I don't know, was like running around, and you had to sneak because it detected sound, I guess. And
So have you unlocked Sneak yet then?
I haven't unlocked sneak.
Okay.
But like the more you move or the faster you move, the more attention you bring to yourself. So it would like come in that direction until it found you, then it would chase you.
Yeah.
So I turned everything on, and it crawled up this wall as I turned on the last generator, and it just like lunged at me, and then all the turrets that were there just like aimed at it and killed it for me. And I was like, oh
that's
my
nice.
God, I almost died. But it was like a super interesting mission, because then you go to this Mars, I think it's Mars, and you find this scientist. And so the whole time it's you talking to people, and then you go to this mine colony that's been overtaken by pirates. And this is, okay, I don't know what I was trying to get to. But it's just like you clear out all the people in this mine, and it's like, well, that's just what you do in every Bethesda game. There's like a tunnel, and you go down it, and you kill everybody. Yay. Like nothing's
Murdering
changed.
son of a bitch.
I know. Well, they were pirates. I didn't care. Anyway, I did the thing, and I freed this guy, and it ended up being cool, because then I went back to New Atlantis, because I had to petition the government people to give me access to some archive, and they're like, okay, we're going to start this petition. And that's when the aliens came and attacked New Atlantis, and so everything changed. So I had to fight aliens at the spaceport, and I was like, this is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
It was actually an interesting story,
Yeah.
which has nothing to do with the main story.
Well, and that's everything I've been hearing and reading, is that that's the biggest benefit of this game, is that you have the main story, it's there, but like it's been suggested, and I've been trying to go this route, is that you find a path that you like and just kind of go down that path, because it's like you can, like you said, you join the Vanguard, like there's every group that you encounter, like sometimes they're traders or whatever, and then you can be like, hey, do you guys have work for me? And they can give you work to do, and then you can like join. So I've joined the Freestar Rangers, I've joined the Vanguard. I'm really curious if like by joining all these different groups, if it's going to create like some kind of like later on like story like collusion or whatever. It's like, oh, so you're a Freestar Ranger, well, we don't like you because, you know, you're like part of whatever. But I don't know if they're going to get that deep with it, but I think it'd be kind of interesting if they did. But I've heard that those story missions, like where you get a job and you follow down those side quest paths and just kind of like run with them.
Yeah.
Like you encounter a lot of really interesting things. Like I did a mission in the well on New Atlantis that was like, it was a very basic one where I just ran into this lady and she was like, hey, where there's like power outages all throughout the well, and I'm like understaffed right now. I need somebody to help me like just go check on these breakers. And I was like, oh, that's kind of boring, but it's probably quick and you give me some money or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm Space Scoundrel. I was like, well, as long as you pay me, you know, I'll hook you up. So she was like, yeah, go do these things. So I go and find these 3 things. And then what we come to find out is somebody's maliciously been turning off the power in the well, causing like basically people to like not have power. And they're like, well, what's going on here? So I go on this like wild goose chase throughout New Atlantis and find out that there was a group that was siphoning power to like themselves to like help power their like server rigs to do like malicious trading on the Gigabank or some shit like that. And they were stealing the power. So you think it's a trade authority, or no, the trade authority, but also at some point catches wind of this, and the power going out is also affecting their business because they trade in illegal goods and all kinds of stuff. So they need to make sure that they have all the power. So then you have to make a choice of like, do I want to give this information that I just found out about whatever's happening to the trade authority, or do I want to give it to the lady that works for the Vanguard, or not the Vanguard, the UC group or whatever, the Mast? Do I want to give it to Mast, or do I want to give it to her, the other one? Turns out it really didn't really matter between the two, but I thought it was interesting that there was like this diversion of like kind of cat and mouse back and forth.
Yeah.
But in the process of me going through that, I come across this room that was locked, and I had to turn on a breaker in there. And so I think there's a breaker in there or something. I don't know. I found a breaker, and then I saw a door that was locked. I was like, let me go in there and unlock it. So I do the little digipick thing. Side note, the digipick system, they did not do a good job tutorializing that very well. I did not know what I was doing at the beginning.
I didn't think there was any tutorial.
And I ran through all my digipicks at the very beginning. I was like, what the hell? And then eventually I looked up how to do it. And I was like, oh, so every time you start hacking, you use a digipick.
Yeah.
And if you restart, then you use another digipick.
Yeah.
It was very confusing.
Yeah.
So,
well, I didn't realize how you're supposed to like do the combination thing. And I was like, oh.
It's very confusing.
Now
It's still not easy.
I get it. Yeah.
But all to be said, so I unlock this room, I open it up. There's this freaking rabid robot dog that comes out and attacks me and like launches at me and starts trying to eat me. I was like, holy shit. So me and my companion like freaking shoot the hell out of it. And then I find out this dude who was dead on the floor had bought this dog, like his pet, from somebody, and they like the guy that bought it didn't pay the other guy for the dog, so he like took it and basically like didn't pay for it. So the guy that sold the dog had put like still could take control of the dog, so he turned on like kill mode, and the dog just like kills the dude because he didn't pay the other guy.
Whoa.
And that was just something I stumbled upon by doing another side quest. I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting, you know, like
there's a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of cool
little
stuff.
That's what's fun about it. It's just like there's a lot to look through and explore, and like the gunplay is not great, and there's definitely some quality of life issues. The gunplay is good, but like there's quality of life issues throughout. The encumbrance is terrible, but like it's fun to. This is the first time I played a Bethesda game that I'm like, I want to explore.
It was the first time I played a Bethesda game, and I'm like,
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to explore. It's so funny.
Well, I think there's something to be said about the giant world that you can traverse in, minus a universe. It's almost like too big, and if it's
I think it's
and if you want it, I mean, it needs to be big because it's a universe. But at the same time, there's not going to be the amount of care and detail of just like walking around and stumbling across something. Like if you go in the cities, you stumble across something. Like I do like you go in the cities. I went to Mars and I went into the main city, and then there's a person just leaning on the wall, and I went up to talk to her. She's like, "Oh, I'm a bounty hunter. Oh yeah, you want to help me with the quest?" And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Like you can just walk in and start talking to people, and someone's going to give you a quest."
Yeah.
Like anywhere you go in any big city. Like
Yeah.
just random people will give you something, and that's what I enjoy about Bethesda games. But I also enjoy that, like being out in the world and finding a quest like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's going to have the same effect here, given the nature of the game.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's stuff out there, but I don't know if it's going to be as tight as it was in other ones.
I feel like it just takes longer to get to it because there is so much more to explore.
Yeah.
It's like I did have a part where I like went off on the first planet I landed on. I just went wandering, and I found a cave off in the distance. So I went out to that cave and I went down and explored, and got a bunch of loot and shit like that. But you could tell somebody had been down here because there was like stuff flying around. Like it was like somebody was like surveying or like collecting or something. But I stole all the shit. I walk outside. There's a dude with a gun to my face waiting for me outside the cave.
Oh.
And I'm like 500 meters away from like any major city. And he's just out there. He's like, you just stole my shit. And he's like, it's a confrontation. I'm like, well, I can kill this guy or I can like talk him down. So I use my persuasion to talk him down. He's like, I better not see you out here again. That was my shit. Better not be stealing. I don't know.
So he's just
So it's
like, yeah, take my shit. I forgive you.
Yeah, basically. But it was like, okay, there was a hint of that kind of idea happening there where it's like, I was out in the middle of nowhere and this wasn't like an objective cave. It was just a cave, that I just happened to stumble upon, and there was somebody there. So I think those moments can happen. It's just there's just so much here, and you have to do so much traveling around, and it is a lot easier just to funnel yourself in the cities to get a bunch of quests and then kind of discover, like you have to find the quests, I think, in order to like do the discovery.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think it's gonna be super rewarding just like land on a planet and start walking.
Yeah, exactly.
And find stuff. Because a lot of it's just gonna be like the same old stuff. You may have like one mission, you're like, oh, that's really cool. I did find one again, also exploring, stumbled upon a random town or under abandoned UC base, and there was nobody there, but I was able to go through the whole thing. Oh, there was turrets there. So the turrets were trying to kill me. But I took those out and then explored the whole base and found a legendary there. So I was like, okay, I got a legendary item. So that was kind of cool. But there was no marker telling me to go there. It was a base that I saw. So I was like, well, let me go there. So I have had like rewards for every just exploration I've done, but it's very different, than like what you're used to with Bethesda.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
I say wait on this game. I don't think it's worth getting it now, unless you have Game Pass. I mean, I just feel like there are other games out there right now that just would be better to play if you haven't played them yet. Like, obviously, Baldur's Gate 3. If you can get it, it's on PlayStation 5 now, so might as well pick that up. I think this might be a forgettable game. Like, I think it's hot now, but I don't think it's gonna last. Like, we have Spider-Man 2 coming out. Like, I think that's gonna trump that. Like,
yeah.
Once that comes out, like, people are gonna forget about this game. But I mean, there's good things in this game. Sure, I'm sure there is. I'm sure they're gonna update it. I'm sure they're gonna fix bugs. I'm sure they're gonna add expansions and make it a little better. But I just think, yeah, it's forgettable.
I want to blow your mind.
Okay.
But I think this is going to have the same effect as Skyrim.
What do you mean?
Long term. 10 years from now, we're still going to be talking about this game. I feel like it's going to happen. So I think what's going to happen, the reason I say that,
I don't know, but
is
okay.
because
Yeah.
there's a lot that people haven't discovered yet.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you have to play through this game multiple times. You have to put a lot of like time into it to really understand like what all is here.
Yeah.
I think they're going to fix it. There's not a lot to fix. I will say, like, this is the cleanest, most polished Bethesda game I've ever played, ever. It works great. I've had one crash desktop. People have had concerns about performance. I haven't really had any performance issues. I'm playing on Ultra, and it's like 60, 70 frames a second on my 3070. So it's like hasn't been super bad. It looks pretty good. Very whitewashed though.
Yeah.
There's some kind of like whitewashing happening on the screen that I don't
Someone
understand.
said they put Vaseline on the camera.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. It's like oversaturated, or it's not oversaturated. Is it saturated, right? Yeah, hue saturation? No, over bright, too much bright. Like the brightness is maxed out.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
There's no gamma setting on this game.
There's no there's
are you
horrible
kidding me?
display settings in this game.
There's no, there's some.
Yeah, you can like change the
graphical settings,
graphics,
but there's
you
no.
can't change brightness, contrast.
Like, why?
No HDR modifications.
What
like
the hell?
Yeah, I was
some things
surprised
are
by
like
that.
too dark, and I can't raise them up. For the most part, it actually does okay. But at the same time, like, dude, let me adjust some stuff. Like, what kind of game doesn't have that?
Yeah, I do think the graphics are pretty good too. I mean, they're not like mind-blowingly great, but you know, they're not like Cyberpunk level per se, but
They're the best for Bethesda.
they're the best for Bethesda, and the amount of depth that is in this game, I'm like, okay, it's pretty damn good. People were saying it like looks like 2005, but I don't really think so. I mean, it doesn't look like a game that came out in 2023, but there is some like there's like the world itself is like has some areas where it's not as detailed, but like the environments are like really, really nice.
Yeah,
like they look really good. But yeah, no, I think this could be, because I think what's going to happen is the modding community is going to really expand this game quite a bit.
There's already mods out there.
Already mods out there. Yeah.
And
I'm going to have to download the inventory mod.
I went on Nexus Mods, and I guess they have like a news board or something, and they're like, the people who did the Skyrim and Fallout 4 community patch are calling for people to come and help them because they're going to make the unofficial Starfield community patch, which is going to, like, you know, fix some things. And it's like some of it is like minor detail stuff that's just like whatever, but other, like, they really get in there and fix some things, but try to keep it as close to what Bethesda has created as possible. And I was like, oh, cool. So those are like always like the top mods for all those games. Yeah. So I was like, oh, is it out? And there's nothing out yet.
Yeah.
But they're like calling for people to come and help.
Yeah.
Which is great. Like, it's great that they still allow modding for this game. And I mean, that's why Skyrim has lasted so long, in my opinion. It's freaking mods.
Right.
I mean, it's people are still playing it today. People are still creating mods for it today. Probably not as much, but I just feel like the fact that I don't know if they factor that in to them creating stuff. Like, oh, the mod community will fix something like this. We're just going to create what we do or whatever. But I hope that's not like a thing. I don't know if it is. I don't know if it isn't.
Wait, sorry, say that one more time.
That they might like be like, oh, there might be a bug or something that's not as like polished or whatever here, but the mod community will fix it for us.
Oh yeah. No, I hope not either. I don't know their pedigree, like if they've done that in the past or anything like that, but
I don't know either.
I hope not. But I do think I think it's going to have long-term longevity, because I think there's a lot to discover in this game that we haven't discovered yet. I keep seeing new content come out of like, oh man, I just discovered this, or I just figured this out. And there's definitely a lot of things that people are finding as they go. And like, you know, people are reviewing this game right now, full reviews, and they're like already giving it a score. It's like IGN gave it a 7.5 or something like that, which I'm like, how the hell can you give it a 7.5 and you gave Cyberpunk a 9? Like, Cyberpunk was so shit when it launched.
Okay, fair enough. Wow, that's fucked up.
Right? Like, and then, but it's like, you can't expect to have, even if you had this 2 weeks early, like, you put a little bit. Now, granted, going back to the idea of like, you know, casual gaming audience, 10 hours of gameplay is a lot to commit to something, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, if the game doesn't get good until 10 hours in, can be a problem.
Oh, that's a huge problem.
And I do think that that's not a good thing. So it's like, you really need to learn from other people of like, you got to read up a little bit about this game, about how to play it, I think. But I think it does have potential long-term to be something super, super special that people are going to remember and talk about a lot because of how much is here. There's a lot of really interesting evolving stories. I think the mod community is going to add a lot to it, because I heard that there's even potential for like the modding community to add new planets and like modify, you know, planets and things like that, which I think is really cool. So yeah, and I think it's pulling in people like me who have never liked a Bethesda game to actually like want to play a Bethesda game.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like the Elden Ring in a way. It's not Elden Ring. I can't compare it to Elden Ring, because Elden Ring did something totally different. But like, Elden Ring opened it up to more people. I think this could open it up to more people too. And, you know, hopefully that's enough to kind of lock it in. But they do got to fix some things. They got to redesign the inventory system real bad.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. Skyrim never got updated.
No. You have to wait for a mod to come out.
I feel like it's a new era. You know, it's like you got to be doing these things. I mean, look at what freaking Cyberpunk did. I mean, they redesigned the shit out of that game like 5 times, and now it's great.
Well, yeah, they kind of had to.
Yeah.
They don't want to get sued. So Metascore has 57 critic reviews. Starfield sitting at 87, but user scores 4,602 ratings at 5.6. I mean, what I've played so far, I just feel like, man, the heydays of Bethesda is behind them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's some good stuff in this game, and yeah, I mean, it's definitely a Bethesda game, but it's not capturing me like those other games captured me.
So I have a question too.
Okay.
Just as like a...
I'm scared.
I know, right? Well, I'm thinking, like, is it because... So last time we played like a really good Fallout game was Fallout 4.
Yeah.
And that was... When did that game come out? Like 2000 something?
2016, 2017.
Like
Maybe
2015.
Yeah, maybe 2015.
So that's 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So is it... I wonder how much where we are in our life has changed that. Because, like, you have an impression of Fallout 4 at your... What were you, probably like 24, 23? Or no, 20, 26 probably around that time?
Something like that.
So you're 25, 26-year-old self.
Yeah.
Now you're like mid-30s.
Yeah.
I wonder how much that affects your opinion.
I think it affects it a lot, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, so many awesome games have come out. Like, I think sometimes you need something kind of tight, you know? Like, I always go back to The Witcher, where the main story was just like super gripping. You want to know what's going to happen next. It keeps pushing you forward.
Yeah.
Then there's all this side content. You're like, fuck. But you feel like the choices are like, I felt like when I was playing The Witcher, if I strayed from, there's so many like things happening now that I feel like I had to do right now.
Yeah.
That if I strayed from the main campaign, you know, there's time system stuff.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, it's a game. Like, the missions are waiting for you. And I knew,
they gave you the illusion that it was that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, shit. Like, there's these, you know, you guys know The Witcher 3. So, like, I want that for every game, really.
Yeah.
And then having those side missions, like stuff that you can come back to and want to play the game again. Like in Mass Effect. It's like, I'm going to play this game, like, probably 3 times. Because you can go the neutral path, the Paragon path, or the Renegade path. So if I miss something along the way, like, I know I can go back and find new things to do on my new playthroughs. Sure, the same thing here, but you don't have that kind of tight, like, you know, Mass Effect was just great. The story, at least in the first 2. Arguably
Like the main
third
story was like super gripping,
exactly.
You know, it's like
exactly.
The side quests were like, you know, kind of good. This one, it's like the side quests are more exciting than the main story is. Just it's a weird direction.
Yeah,
you know, it's just different than what we're used to, but or than what I'm used to. But I was curious about the age thing because, like, for me, like, I think too, like, if I were to play Fallout 4 like as a brand new game today, I wonder if I would have liked it better. Because back then, what I'm realizing, it's like I'm like eating up RPGs nowadays, but I used to hate RPGs.
That's true.
And I
That's
never
true,
played RPGs, and now I'm like, I've been playing Cyberpunk, and I'm playing this, I'm playing Baldur's Gate, and love them all. But I would never touch an RPG when I was a kid, or like, you know, in my 20s or whatever.
Right.
I was a shooter guy, and that was it. You know, so it's like I wonder how much our age has affected that, and like this is something that like we're looking for the memory and the excitement that we had from your Skyrim days, and you had such fond memories of that era that like this game just didn't capture it because it's a different time, different age. You know,
well, at the time, like those were the kind of like the only games out there that gave that experience,
that did that, and now we have a bunch of other comparisons.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, and it's like
it's true.
Yeah, but like, so we were watching some Fallout 4 footage just to kind of make comparisons. I was like, I almost want to just go back and play Fallout 4. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, on top of that, I can mod it and make it look like, you know, today's graphics anyway.
Yeah. So,
but I don't know. I think time will tell. We'll see where we go, but I do think this is just going to be a forgettable game in the end.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You think it's forgettable? I think it's gonna hopefully last on, but I think it's gonna take a while. I don't think it's gonna I don't think this is gonna be in the Game of the Year conversation for a lot of people this year. I really don't think it's gonna have the potential. I think some people are gonna try to put it in there, but I really think with Baldur's Gate 3 coming out, that's still to me is such a superior game across all the different classifications than Starfield is. Just because it's like the story is awesome, the gameplay is awesome, it's polished, it works. Like I haven't gone through Act 2 and 3 yet, but like the cutscenes and the interactions between characters are so much more dynamic. And this one just doesn't have that dynamic cutscene thing when it's so conversation heavy.
It just feels like nothing really matters in this game. Like you're just in this world to have fun, experience cool things. Oh, but Baldur's Gate's like you affect everything you choose and do and don't do affects what is coming.
Jason
next.
went and pissed off some people and killed somebody, and then suddenly we lost an entire town worth of traders.
And innocent people.
Just
because of one action.
You know, like that. I haven't experienced that level of change, yet in this game.
It's not going to be there.
Yeah.
It's not going to be there.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I have heard, though, so I did hear somebody say that they committed a crime somewhere in space or whatever, and then somebody saw it happen, and they got arrested, and they got put in jail.
Oh.
So there's like jail in this game and stuff like that.
Last time I committed a crime, everyone just tried to kill me.
I mean, that could happen too. Yeah. So I think there are some of those things to discover. It's just I'm afraid to do stuff like that because I'm like I want to play the nice playthrough.
Yeah.
But I am curious if you go back and be evil later on if it,
I saw someone was in this room of people and they were just shooting at stuff, but not the people. Like shooting near them, next to them, at their feet. And it's like everyone was just like, yeah, everything's cool here. Everything's fine. Then he got a grenade and he threw it like at the corner of a room. And everyone was like, yeah, bah, 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 bah. So killing him. He's like, oh, well, so that's what sets you off.
That's the trigger. Yeah. Yeah.
But like,
that's funny.
I forgot what game it was, but it's like you steal something and like a guard will come up and be like, hey, you're going to, you've created a crime, pay us or go to jail. It might have been Skyrim, honestly.
Or Red Dead, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Or, I don't know, yeah.
So it's just like something like that. Like in this game, it's just like, you committed a crime, you're gonna die. This is space.
Or you'll have a message that pops up that says, Sarah did not like that. Because Sarah hates everything you do that's wrong.
Right, That's right, yeah.
Yeah. I've gotten rid of her. I've switched to somebody else because my antics in the world are not satisfactory to her. And I want a romance character, but she clearly doesn't want to romance me because she's a goody goody. So I'm like,
fair enough.
You're out the door. I got this new Andrea girl, then just Russian girl that I found in the mines of one of the towns I went to. So yeah, so we'll see.
Cool. We'll be back. We're gonna have Jason on. He's gonna talk about his experiences. What do you think? Is he gonna like it? Is he gonna hate it?
I don't know.
I thought he wasn't gonna play this game.
I thought he wasn't either, but I think he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna like it. That's my prediction.
Okay.
I think he's gonna be okay with it, but I think this game probably need to be co-op for him to like grip it, like really fall in love with it.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. I don't know. That's my assumption, though.
Well, check it out. Come back, guys. We'll be back. Full review coming soon.